Yes, we are good. Just increase the volume here. All right, everybody. Hello again. It's been a long time since we've seen you guys. This is 2 live streams back to back. But we have some news. Peter has a visitor as well, sitting on his lap there. Just see the top of his head. There we go. How's everyone doing? If you guys can see me, hear me, if you guys can see Alexander, see Peter, let me know in the live stream, in the chat, and we'll get started. 1 second. How's everyone doing? Hello, American Rebel. Belgium is a highway for German tanks to reach France. Okay. Hello, Valley S. How are you doing? In Ohio, I believe. Kathy, hello from Vermont. Somerset, UK. Anthony, Adrian. Echo. You guys hearing an echo?
An echo.
Slight, very slight.
Could that be my earphones? Huh? Is it my earphones? Sometimes they produce some sound. I've lowered the volume anyway.
Let me know if if everything is okay with the sound and the and the image. All looks good. Okay. Artem says the Oracle of London. Artem, hello from Cardiff, from Albuquerque. Hello, greetings from Serbia, Amsterdam, London, Cape Cod, Columbia, New Jersey, Toronto. Anyone here in California? Because now that Biden has picked Kamala Harris, the Democrats will finally win California, guys.
Mickey Mouse could run and win, okay? It's a Democratic state.
Sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic.
I lived in Orange County when it was still red, okay?
I'm being sarcastic. All right, let's get started. Joe Biden, sleepy, creepy Joe has picked Kamala Harris. Should I throw out some more sarcasm before we get started? I'll pass it off to you, Peter and Alexander. She kind of checks off woke boxes, kind of.
That's all.
She kind of does. Let's see. She's definitely loved by the progressive left. She came really close to beating Joe Biden in the primaries. Really close. Oh, what else did I write down? She actually listened to Tupac and Snoop Dogg before anyone else did. Before they even came out with an album, she was listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg.
That may be the only thing she's really got going.
Let's see. Oh, and in the debates, she completely tore apart Tulsi Gabbard in the debates. And
this is the contrarian world here.
Yeah, this is I'm getting into the mind of the Democrats here. And she was the first person to condemn the obvious hate crime against Jussie Smollett by the MAGA wearing.
She still hasn't taken that tweet down.
Peter, let's start with you. What do you think?
The donors win. Obama wins. The Obama legacy wins. The bipartisan interagency foreign policy consensus wins. This is neoliberalism. This is they have coronated themselves to perpetuate it. And what a slap in the mouth, what a kick in the teeth to progressives in the party. Okay, they don't like her. She's another empty suit. Okay, she is crafted when she is scripted. When she is off the cuff, she is hopeless. Is almost as hopeless as hopeless Joe. She is no threat to Joe. The interesting thing is I firmly believe that Obama was behind all of this to preserve his legacy and to have a bridge from Joe. Joe just has to be if he wins. All he has to do is be inaugurated and he'll be pushed aside, okay? He will have served his purpose. Then you have a very, very ambitious, actually a very conservative Democrat. Look at her law and order position, okay? The party is defund the police and you have this prosecutor. It doesn't make any sense at all. Now, it's really interesting is that, and also if you look at the upcoming quote unquote virtual convention, all of these never Trumpers that are going to be there, it's very interesting is that, we were saying just seconds before our podcast is that, you have people at Fox News saying, this is the most outrageous, radical, Bernie, Bolshevik socialist ticket. No, it's not. Nothing will change. This is what it is. I watched the first Trump campaign ad against her. They had it prepared, obviously, and it was awful. It is missing the point, and it makes me think Trump doesn't even understand why he was elected in the first place. Okay, both these campaigns are hopeless at this point.
Alexander, let's see. Someone said that this ticket is an avatar. This entire ticket is an avatar. Well, and one more thing, Alexander, before I pass it off to you, someone also said in the live stream that in Finnish, I don't know if this is true, in Finnish, Kamala means awful.
Well, that's actually a very good point, because the very first thought I had when I heard about this was, is this really the best? The DNC, I'm not talking about the Democrats, but I'm talking about, you know, the wire pullers, the Clintonites, the Obama, all of these. Is this the best they could do? I mean, a person who is a senator from California, who, as you said, ticks all the woke boxes and manages to get, was it 2% in the primaries? I mean, who is extraordinarily disliked by many, many people. And I'm going to say straightforward, I'm sorry to be a bit personal now, having followed Kamala Harris over the last year, I can completely understand why people don't like her. I don't like her. I'm sure a lot of people don't like her for very good reasons. So, you know, it's Hillary Clinton over again. You get Joe Biden, who is Sleepy Joe. He's not all there. I think everybody now accepts that. Even the Financial Times in London is writing about that. So I don't think we can really be criticized for pointing that out anymore. And then you go for the most unpopular, disliked, unpleasant possible candidate to be his vice president, with every prospect that sooner or later she will be the president. It's Hillary Clinton all over again. It's the same sort of bizarre thing you foist on the Democratic Party and try to foist on the American people, someone they don't like, and don't like, may I add, with very good cause.
Well, the donors win. The donors love this. The markets love it. Wall Street loves it. Hollywood loves it. Academia loves it, because it is form over content. Okay, policy plays no real role here. She is an attractive African-American woman. There's no denying that. Is she likable? Not at all. Is she quick on her feet? No. Will she challenge Joe? Will she challenge the donors? Will she challenge the DNC? And it's top it all. Let's put a nice bow on top of this. MSNBC and CNN will be orgasmic for the next, 85 days, okay? So they're all behind it here. But what this is doing, and I've said this many times here, and I feel vindicated here. Why should the Bernie bros get off the couch and vote now? Why? They got nothing. They got zero out of this. They got, 40% of the vote. I mean, that means something, okay? Not her 2 or 3%. So this is a real kick in the teeth of the progressive part of the party. I don't think that they're going to want to suck it up. Okay, not at all. All right. And the Trump campaign's reaction to this, Steve Bannon never would have allowed the way they're framing this election here. It doesn't work. You're using a broken economics from Reagan and a broken paradigm about scaring people about the left. A lot of people, the majority of Americans want to have single-payer health care. The majority do. That is a majoritarian issue right now, particularly during a pandemic. So, so what the donors, the Wall Street, she's safe hands. She's safe, okay? She's not going to challenge anything. And they're not going to challenge anything on the issues that won Trump the presidency in 2016. So, I mean, it's kind of like, the blind leading the blind in this campaign. It's truly bizarre, because Trump should be able to hit this one out of the park.
Yes.
They fumbled on the first day.
Yeah. Can I just say a few things about this? First of all, I mean, you're absolutely right. Peter, this is the victory of the donor class, Wall Street, all of those people. It is not the way to win an election to put up an disliked and unpopular candidate, provided obviously that election is democratic. Now, we have been discussing our concerns about that, but you could start to see better the whole agenda behind things like mail-in voting if this is the best they can do. I mean, you know, you could once upon a time find establishment candidates who were likable or charismatic after a fashion. Kamala Harris is none of those things. And Sleepy Joe is fast asleep. Alex, you want to say something?
Yeah, Alexander, I want to ask you. I mean, there's a reason they chose her, no matter how much we dislike and have an infinite amount of disdain for the neoliberals, the neocons, the elite class, all these people. There is a reason they chose Kamala Harris. They're not dumb. These aren't dumb people. They're evil. There's no doubt about it. They're evil, but they're not dumb. So they know she's unpopular. They know that they're going to drive the progressives away. I think they know that they're going to also drive the African-American black vote away. I'm not saying they're going to vote for Trump. I'm saying by picking Kamala Harris, who incarcerated a lot of African-Americans, and the question about her being African-American is also very much under debate. And I think that's going to play out in the election as well. But she incarcerated a lot of African-Americans. She was brutal on the community in California. They're not going to...
Nonviolent crime.
Yeah, they're right. And the drug war, they're going to stay home. They're going to stay home. They're not going to vote. And that's terrible in an election, which we've been saying is all about turnout. I'm not saying they're going to vote for Trump, but they're going to definitely stay home. My question to you, Alexander and Peter, is why are they picking her? We went over Susan Rice yesterday in a live stream. We broke it down. Susan Rice, pros and cons. Kamala Harris, to me, is just all cons. There is nothing. She doesn't add anything to the ticket. My joke about California is she doesn't even add a state. I mean, at least if she was senator in Pennsylvania or Texas, you could say, okay, I'm choosing her because she's going to deliver me Texas. But she doesn't even add a state to the Biden checklist.
Yes.
What's the reasoning? Are they going to, once again, usher in Hillary? Are they going to?
One word. It's simple. Ideology.
Have they gone that mad that it's totally about ideology?
Yes. It's also about control. It's about controlling the Democratic Party. They don't want to bring in anybody who is really, has a real personality, has a real, possible agenda, be it a progressive one or a centrist one or whatever. They want someone who is completely reliable and who will follow the party line. Okay. And that's what Kamala Harris is. She's an apparatchik.
Apropos, Alex, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. What is she running on? What did she run on? Nobody knows.
No. I mean,
campaign slogan 3 or 4 times to get 3% of the vote, get knocked out before Iowa, and lost her own state.
Was she even in the top 5 in the primaries?
But see,
no, she wasn't.
You can't stick anything really to her. I mean, how many times during the debate she said, "Oh, I didn't hear the question." Remember that? And then, she signed on Bernie Sanders' Green New Deal, his proposal. And then later she said, "Well, I never felt really comfortable with it."
Yeah, but Tulsi Gabbard completely demolished her.
Yes.
And quite easily.
Yes. Now, can I just say something about that Republican broadcast? Because I watched it. Now, of course, I watch it from an English perspective, and I can see that there are problems with it. But it did get one thing across, I thought, which is that this is a phony person. She is a person who is totally opportunistic. Sometimes she runs on law and order positions. Other times she seems to tack to the left. She plays all sorts of different games at various times. And I don't think, again, in a democratic, properly conducted election, the voters would like that. They didn't during the primaries. Why should they like that now? And going back to Alex's point, it's a point I made too about BLM, that it is ultimately a reactionary process. Anything that calls itself revolutionary, that wants to get Joe Biden into the White House, is reactionary. And now some of those people who went out there and protested thinking that they were signing up to something, you know, radical, well, I think they should take a look at what they're actually campaigning for, see Biden and Kamala Harris, and realize that they are being used, because they clearly are.
I mean, why did they choose her? I mean, if we want to look at demographics, okay, white suburban women, and they know that Trump really is hurting in that demographic, and he's lost that demographic. He did well in 2016 with them to give Trump a chance. Now, Kamala Harris is exactly what these voters want. Why? Because it makes them feel good, and it won't, and with the hope that nothing really will change. Okay, that is the demographic. The reason why they chose her to focus in on that demographic there. They know from the primaries, blacks don't want to vote for her. They don't. Okay, they simply don't. And it was a Democratic machine, the DNC and Obama that supercharged Sleepy Joe's campaign after South Carolina. So no, I mean the interesting thing here is, and we like to play what if. Everybody does. If you're interested in politics, what if this ticket wins, which I think is problematic. The Biden team didn't do any. They didn't score any real points. Okay, so there's almost all known knowns. There's very few unknown knowns. Okay, right now. So. Checking the boxes, okay, that's fine. It's virtue signaling without policy. It is virtue signaling, making sure the donor class is happy. It's virtue signaling to one specific demographic. It's virtue signaling to the Trump campaign that, quote unquote, the Trump supporters are racist, okay? So it's really, she's a cutout, an avatar, I think was as it was put, and I think it's very appropriate. What I am not dismayed that she was chosen, not at all, for all the reasons that we have just mentioned. I'm just completely dismayed by the Trump campaign's reaction to it. Who is making these decisions over there? It is just it's so out of touch. So, like I said, Steve Bannon would never have made that commercial, ever.
Well, as I said, Trump, I have to say, I think has been a rather more spot on with this. I mean, he's made some comments which I thought were more apropos. I wouldn't put too much on one commercial. I think as this thing builds up, we will probably see a more forceful response in the Trump campaign. I'm pretty sure we will. But as I said, at the end of the day, we come back to this. This is not a candidate, in my opinion, who adds anything. This is a candidate who subtracts things. And I don't personally think, this is my own view, as I said, I'm talking from London now. I don't have the feel for American politics that you two gentlemen have, but I can't see why white female voters would be attracted to Kamala Harris. I'm not sure anybody's attracted to Kamala Harris, actually.
She didn't even do remotely well in the primaries. No. Not even remotely well.
No, but it's a feel-good ticket for certain demographics in the country. I think that is very clear, okay? I mean, it's not really brain surgery to come up with that ticket. It's not particularly special, okay? One of the other things, that, while we're talking about it, Kamala Harris is also a hawk, okay? In line with the Obama-Biden foreign policy, which there are a number of people in Washington that really like that. She's not going to rock the boat. The interagency consensus will be held. And I think we can't overestimate how much Obama wants to make sure that his legacy is preserved. We have 30 years more of this guy opining about how great he was, okay? And I think it's really interesting is that during this campaign, we've really seen the end of the Clinton era. I mean, the Clinton mob, the mafia, it's gone into the sunset, and now it's the Obama family. that is running, calling the shots. Look at all the people around Biden; they're all Obama people, and it's not a stretch to make the claim, the assertion that Obama played a significant role in this choice.
Peter, I'm going to ask you.
Basically, used his Rolodex at the last second, said, support Joe. Okay.
But if Obama wanted his avatar, his person to be with Biden, it would have been Susan Rice, wouldn't it?
I think they came to the conclusion that she just had too much baggage.
Well, okay, wait.
And on top of it, I mean, I don't think, if you look at voters, okay, in the biggest, the most common political affiliation is independent, okay? But Susan Rice is only remembered for a couple things. Benghazi, okay? And there's no way around that. And then when she was on PBS lying about unmasking, it would just be too easy to go after that. And Kamala Harris, she will uphold the boisterous foreign policy of foreign interventionism, which Rice would have been perfect at doing. So I just think at the end of the day, it was just too much of a headache. And you're right. I mean, Obama, she's basically a product of Obama, Susan Rice. Okay, I agree.
I mean, she's his protector.
I'd never heard of her in foreign policy circles before Obama.
No.
Okay.
Can I just make a suggestion? Because it's something that did cross my mind when all this started, when I heard about Kamala Harris becoming the vice president, which is that, of course, we'd had this lead up that it did look for a long time as if it would be Susan Rice. And in fact, over the course of yesterday, it all began with the speculation that it would be Susan Rice. And maybe that was the original plan. That was plan A. And what has put them off picking Susan Rice is the fact that there are now accumulating legal problems building up. We've got the Duran investigation on the way. We've got other potential investigations on the way. We've got possible civil suits by people like Michael Flynn coming. So maybe the decision was made in a rush, what with all these latest revelations coming out on Russiagate, which I accept have not gained traction yet with the American people, but if we start to see indictments, if we start to see civil lawsuits, that may happen. And so they had to quickly rush and find someone else, and they needed a safe pair of hands, and they needed someone reliable, and they needed someone who ticks the right boxes. And so that meant Kamala Harris.
Well, I think also, let's not dismiss the possibility that we were just double faked. We were faked.
Well, of course. I'm just putting that as a theory.
I'm absolutely agreeing with you. 100%. Is that, fake people out by saying, the game of whispers, the intentional leaks, it could be Susan Rice. And I think it kind of landed flat with a lot of people, okay? A lot of people. Because, Kamala Harris, you never think of foreign policy really per se when you think of her. Okay, she's a Russiagator like the rest of them. Okay, garden variety Russian gator, fine. Okay, but Susan Rice is different. She's different because she's got her fingerprints on a lot of things. Kamala Harris is just all she is hot air. Okay, and I want to be careful with my words here, but if you really want to know how she got prominence, look how she became district attorney and attorney general. I have a song in my head, and it's by Lou Reed. Maybe you know what I'm talking.
Here's the problem. I think
I love that
by going with Kamala Harris and not Susan Rice. For me, Susan Rice, she has huge problems, a lot of baggage, but it's hard to understand those problems. And that baggage. It's complex. The Russiagate, Ukraine, Benghazi, all that stuff is really complex. And I think it's complex to the everyday voter. Harris's problems, her lying, her stupidity is so easy to understand.
Yes.
I was smoking weed and I was listening to Tupac 2 years before he even came out with an album. People can understand that and say she's a BSer. Okay, this lady's just full of it. Or seeing Tulsi Gabbard tear her apart. Or the tweet about Jussie Smollett. These are social issues that I think a lot of people in America can kind of understand and latch onto and say, you know what, she's going to be president. She's ridiculous.
But let's look at, it's not mist the trees from the forest here, okay? This is they're running a campaign as a referendum on Donald Trump. And because of the Kavanaugh hearings, because of Russiagate, Kamala Harris checks all the right boxes for the DNC and the donors, okay? In that sense, it's very simple. It's very simple. And they also know, the DNC, the donors, they all know that the mainstream media, obviously minus Fox, everyone else will not say one bad word about her. And again, as I keep stressing in our podcast, Fox News will come down hard on her, and they'll say, "Oh, that's just a Fox News story," because they won't report it. And so when Fox does, "Oh, see, they're just doing their conspiracy theories again." It's only Fox that says that. They know that, and they're safe in that.
Yeah. Can I also just make a point in response to what Alex said? You see, Alex, you're absolutely right. These are very complicated things. If Susan Rice was subjected to lawsuits, for example, or was subjected to criticism, most people would not understand it and perhaps wouldn't really care very much about it. If, however, you are the Democrats and you know that these criticisms have force and you are afraid of indictments, and you are afraid that the person you're putting up as vice president is compromised in some way, your vision becomes clouded and you do not see things with the clarity and objectivity that you have just done. This is something I am very accustomed to from the work I used to do. People who have a bad conscience behave in overcomplicated ways. I don't know, I want to stress again, I don't know whether the decision was originally to go for Susan Rice and then they got cold feet about it and then rushed to embrace Kamala Harris. All I am saying is it looks to me as if it might be possible and it would be consistent with the psychology. Now, at the end of the day, I suspect Kamala Harris is a less attractive option than Susan Rice, because Susan Rice, as both of you have said, is not particularly well known, but not particularly disliked either. Kamala Harris is. And I think Kamala Harris's behavior, by the way, during the Kavanaugh hearings, won't have done her very much good at all, especially with that demographic that Peter was talking about, which were white American women who tended to support Kavanaugh. So, let's keep all of these things in mind.
The thing is that she does check all the right boxes.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying.
I think that I think it's fair to say that we're in the post-Me Too era right now, or a variation of it. Yeah. I think that if you're a never Trumper and you heard Kamala Harris during the Kavanaugh hearings, you liked her, okay? Yeah. That's true. The interesting thing too is that Susan Rice, she's not widely known, but the people that do know her despise her, okay? I mean, it's a very specific group of people that don't like her because they know she's the architect of so many failures under the Obama administration. I mean, just about every single one of them in terms of foreign policy. So Susan Rice, she'll be chief of staff, okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. There'll be a place for her in the administration or Secretary of State.
I don't know. I'll give you guys one more question.
Depending on what the composition of the Senate, she might have to settle for chief of staff. I don't. Yeah. Does she want them to open up that can of worms again?
Wow, sure.
All right, I'll give you guys one more question, and then we'll go to super chats and we'll wrap it up. This is going to be a quick live stream. I mean, I don't know. You're picking a loser.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kamala Harris is a loser.
Yeah.
She didn't do even remotely well in the primary, so you're picking a loser, number one. But my main question to you, Peter, and to you, Alexander, is and we've talked about this before we went live, actually, briefly talked about this. We know that Joe Biden is not going to make it through his 4-year term.
No.
That we know. So
certainly
will they
not whole.
Yeah, whether it's 1 year or 3 years, I don't know. If he wins, I don't think he will, but if he wins, let's just play it out. Will they even let Kamala Harris be president? Is something else going on here? I'm very suspicious about this pick. And my mind keeps on going back to some sort of Hillary Clinton bait and switch or something going on. Let's explore it just for like 5 minutes, because it's such a bizarre pick. Kamala Harris is a tested and tried loser on the campaign trail. She's awful. Okay. Really, really bad.
Alex, how about this as a demonstration? Obama is on speed dial. Okay? He'll be on speed dial. Okay? But I think that they would quite happily give her the reins of power under the terms and conditions that all decisions will be made for you. You will be able to have the prestige and the honors and the protocol of the president, and you'll go down in history as the 47th president of the United States. She'd be more than willing to do that. Oh yeah, and you have to watch it. I mean, if she becomes vice president under Biden, the 25th Amendment may come into play in that 4-year period. It could likely come into play. If it does, she becomes president, and I really seriously doubt anybody in the party is going to primary her. So she gets her own term, and then she has a right to run again. So what they're looking at is a 12-year plan here. Is she safe hands for the donor class? Yeah, I think so.
Alexander, final question. Hillary Clinton is such a narcissist. She's so full of herself. I just cannot imagine her allowing someone else to be the first woman president. Well, I just can't see it. I can't see it. That's why I'm thinking, I don't know, HRC to me, maybe I'm just being stupid. I just see her coming into play somewhere. I don't know why.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. I mean, these intrigues, I can't really say, because at the moment, all I can say is that the ticket is Biden-Harris. I can't see that changing between now and November. And we must assume this is now going to be the ticket. But I am absolutely certain of one thing. I heard what Peter said, that, the Clinton era is over and the Obama era has begun. I am absolutely sure that the Clintonites, Hillary and Bill, are entirely unreconciled to that. They will be fighting back. They will be pushing hard to have all their people in the administration, and they will be waiting like hawks. And Hillary Clinton does not look to me like the kind of person who's going to give up power easily.
But don't you think that anointing Kamala Harris it's like a chess game? They're being rooks now. It's the Obamas that are saying, we're going to move this piece.
Yes,
I think that's what it is. It's a blocking move. It's a master blocking move. Nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with these competing clans within the Democratic Party.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe there are competing.
Obama is saying, I'm moving the rook across the board, and I'm taking your piece off the board. HRC. They hate each other. You know they hate each other.
Maybe there is a power struggle between the two.
The two factions,
machines, Obama, Clinton.
The two machines, indeed. And in fact, I mean, it just comes back to the point we made at the beginning of the program. This is as much about control of the Democratic Party as it is about winning the election. For some people in the Democratic Party, controlling the Democratic Party is more important than anything else, because that way you get control of the patronage, you get control of all the positions in the Congress, you have all sorts of power that comes to you through all sorts of means. And I'm sure that there are conflicts between the Obama faction and the Clinton machine. And I am also sure that both the Obama faction and the Clinton machine are completely opposed to the progressive aspect of the party too. So it has every look of that. I mean, it smells of it, if I can say so. It smells of machine politics. No question about this. Whereas, if you look at the other side of the fence, Donald Trump, with all his problems, with all his, chaos, his blunderings that he does, with the fact that his messages get scrambled, he is a human being. I mean, whatever else he is, he's not a machine politician in that kind of way.
Yeah, you have to admit that he's a one-man show.
Absolutely.
After 3.5 years in office, he's a one-man show, because he has these circus clowns around him. Okay. I mean, I suggest people watch the Hill program Rising. They bring out the Republicans, the campaign strategists, and you're just laughing all the way through every single answer. They're buffoons. Yes. Buffoons. Yeah. Can't make this stuff up. Okay. The interesting thing too is that with all that we've said here, you know, I'm really interested in what the old GOP is thinking, because they're not going to support the president, maybe slightly rhetorically, but they're not going to go out and push for him, because they're watching this very closely because they want their party back. Okay, the Trump supporters don't want it to go back the old way. That's why they abandoned all those 21 candidates in 2016. Okay, so this is interesting catalyst that's going on right now. Okay? And Alexander McCarris hit the nail on the head. This is a frontal attack, a spitting attack on progressives in the Democratic Party.
Okay, let's do some super chats and we'll wrap it up. $20 super chat from Toilet Sauce. So Clinton is not VP choice. Will she be presidential candidate instead? You know, Joey isn't feeling well or has a stroke or whatever days before the election. And guess who comes and saves the party from collapsing?
I think this is going to be more difficult now, because you see, having made Kamala Harris the vice presidential choice, it seems to me that she comes ahead of Hillary. Now, you know, she might be prepared to stand aside and let Hillary step in. I'm not saying, I mean,
I hope Hillary didn't hear you. I hope Hillary didn't hear what you just said.
But I mean, you know, I have to say, I think Kamala doesn't look to me like the kind of person who, gives away things easily either. And if she really is part of an Obama faction, as Peter says, which I think is very likely, then she might, resist that. So, I think it's more difficult now to see Hillary Clinton coming back as a candidate in this election. But don't count her out. She will remain a powerful force in the Democratic Party, in American politics, and she will continue to have her friends and influence within a Biden or Kamala Harris administration, if that is what we have after November.
Well, it's getting more and more. I think technically, by the rules of the party, the Democratic Party, is that they can change the nominee. I mean, the DNC has the power to do that. Okay, but the implications of doing that would be just horrific, because I mean, it would show just a pure greed for power. Number one. Kamala Harris is not going to. I mean, she's not going to give this up. She'll go down fighting hard for it. I mean, the presidency is within her grasp if this ticket wins in November. All right, that's very, very important. But the further we go on, particularly after the virtual convention, making that switch will be very, very hard. And the progressives in the party will just lose their mind if Hillary is somehow snuck in through the back door. So that possibility is certainly fading. Now, there's always the chance, I mean, we're really getting super hypothetical here, but if something were to happen to Joe in his term in office, again, the 25th Amendment, would there be pressure under the DNC to have Hillary come in as vice president as some kind of consolation prize? I don't think Hillary would want that, but it would keep her clan, within the institutions of power. Okay, so that's what you want to. I mean, the Obamas now are richer than the Clintons. Okay, thanks to Netflix. Okay, I mean, it's not the same kind of brand that it used to be. Okay, because the donors are not going there anymore. Okay, I mean, name recognition, of course. I mean, and for better or worse, she earned it, okay? But it's the donors, okay? The donors are gonna start raining huge amounts of cash on Biden and Kamala, because she is safe hands as far as they're concerned. So, it's the twilight of the Clintons. Doesn't mean they're gone. It's certainly, they've ebbed, and now it's going to the wayside. It's really the Obama clan. Because they have such powerful institutional connections to the candidate himself. I mean, they run the bunker, for Joe. Okay, they're all Obama people. They're not Clinton people.
All right, from American Rebel 27, year 2020, surrealism appears to be the order of the day. All right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have to say, I mean, surrealism, what we have had in the United States and in the world this year is, Salvador Dali could not have imagined it. It's so bizarre. I've never known a year as peculiar as this one.
All right, brilliant. Chaos is a new member of the Duran community.
No.
Welcome, Brilliant Chaos. And Brilliant Chaos also sent us a $3 super chat. Thank you very much, Brilliant Chaos, for that. Life of Brian. How does Pence credibly attack Kamala for stuffing jails or not jailing Trump's Secretary of the Treasury, Mnuchin?
Well, if there was any kind of calculation behind this, then I think there might have been some people in the Democratic Party who picked up on the fact that Trump was gaining traction from all the problems, all the chaos we've been seeing across America over the last few weeks. So bringing in a law and order person, which is what Kamala Harris is, might conceivably, reduce that problem. I don't think it's going to help at all, because the one thing the Democrats are not going to do, it seems to me, is repudiate BLM and repudiate all the events that have been happening in places like Seattle and Portland. And if you want to see that, you only have to look at Democratic Party newspapers, the newspapers that support the Democratic Party. So by taking on Kamala Harris, they will lose those people who, are the progressives. They will lose a lot of people on the black votes. And at the same time, they will not, I think, win over anybody else who wants to see some degree of restoration of order and law in the United States.
Yeah, what Pence will do is just drive a wedge between Kamala Harris and the rest of the party, because she's law and order, but the party is defunding the police. So he'll hammer away in her contradictions, okay? And I think what you do, obviously Pence will just stare a page from Tulsi Gabbard and really just force the issue home, is that she used the power of the state to incarcerate nonviolent criminals, okay? And she herself admits that she uses marijuana. So, and Pence is the perfect guy to do that because he's as straight as an arrow, okay? So, I think they'll really hammer away at that. I don't think anybody really will care. One thing is for sure is that Kamala Harris is extremely good when she's scripted. The first debates, she did pretty well because it was all staged. When after the debates, when she was asked by CNN and MSNBC, she floundered. She was like a child. Okay, so for the debate, she'll be really well prepared. I think it'll be very stiff, and I don't think it's going to move the needle.
I'm just going to say one more thing, by the way, about Pence. I mean, I should make it clear, I don't particularly like him. I don't like him, but he is a clever man. And my impression of him is that he's a much better lawyer than Kamala Harris is. If we're going to have two lawyers, two advocates taking on each other, I would certainly put my money on Pence, not on Kamala Harris. So if there's a debate between the two, I think, again, I would very much put my money on Pence.
I think the question I have is is Kamala Harris going to go into the bunker as well? What role will she play in this campaign? Okay, like I said, if she gets her her ducks lined up, she can be very effective. Okay, but if she gets caught into a situation where the media are asking her questions and stuff like that, she does tend to flounder. So I'll be curious to what degree the Biden campaign is going to really micromanage her words and activities.
Yeah, bear in mind something about Kamala Harris. She has only been, as I understand it, a public, she's only worked in public office. She's never been in the private world. She's never practiced as a private lawyer. So she's never learned that quickness on one's feet that, a private lawyer acquires. Pence has it. I mean, I saw him at it in 2016. As I said, I don't speak as any sort of fan of Pence, but I think in any kind of debate, he would beat Harris. I have no doubt of it.
Well, we know that Kamala knows how to get ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. From Toilet Sauce, a €10 super chat. An alternative view do the people who pull the strings in the Democrat Party even want to win? Is it not easier for them to grift when they can continue like they have for the last 4 years?
I think this is a very good point, and I think it's one Peter has made in the past. I think it's made, I mean, provided they can retain control of the Democratic Party, they, in a sense, win, even if they don't win the election in November. Some of them might go down as a result of what Durham is doing, but most of them won't. And for them, it continues to work well. They still get the money from all the lobbyists. They still do all the things that work very well for the Democratic Party. And of course, it's very comfortable to be in opposition all the time. You don't have to make decisions that way. You don't have to implement those decisions either. So I think there's actually a lot of force in it. And Peter has made the same point, and very well, in previous programs.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that, irrespective of who's inaugurated in January of next year, the grift will continue. Unabated, okay? Again, you know, we love this because, you know, we have politics in our blood and we like to think about it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it really is a consensus. You know, the donors are giving to both parties, okay? Maybe it'll be a little bit different balance this time around, but the grift will stay. And that is the very point of it, is to maintain the grift, okay? Yeah. And that's why, again, you're not going to see a lot of GOP senators go to the wall for Trump because, well, you know, maybe they have a safe seat. If not, okay, they'll work for a defense contractor on some board and they'll be making tons of money and they'll be a lobbyist, okay? I mean, no tears for these people. They'll still be drinking wine in the shower, okay? The grift will continue.
From Peter Jackson, BNG5. So who do you think will win the election in November?
I have always personally thought that Trump would win. The polls are tightening. The pandemic is abating, and the Democrats have now chosen Kamala Harris. So I think that I still think it's Trump. I think it's and I think things are moving in his direction.
It's really the economic wreckage is still continuing. It's still continuing. The fact that I give kudos to Trump for his executive orders and all that, but it's a day late, it's a buck short, and it's dubious if it's even legal. And the best case for those executive orders, it may take weeks, if not months, for it to happen. People don't have that much time. So the still continuing to run this campaign as a referendum on how Trump has ran the country, and particularly during the pandemic / depression, because that's what it is for tens of millions of people. It's a very powerful mixture for Trump to come up against. Now, I've said this, maybe somebody on the Trump team is watching us, but I just said action, 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 action. And Alexander McCurry just said that the polls are getting a little bit closer right now. It's because he's showing that he cares about this pandemic and the economic tragedy and financial tragedy that is wrought with it. So it's really, if he can keep himself focused on that, I think he still has a chance. But we shouldn't even be in this place right now. I mean, in February, we talked about this so many times. I mean, barring a depression, Trump is going to waltz back into power. Well, what do we get? We get a pandemic, and we get what certainly is a depression for tens of millions of people. So it's really up in the air. But this is still a campaign for him to lose. That's why I get so frustrated.
All right, Life of Brian, 399. What's wrong with suburban women? Panel, go.
No, I mean, I've got nothing. On the contrary, I don't think I have nothing against suburban women.
No, you don't have to answer. It's just, if you want to answer, that's fine. Tongue in cheek, I think, guys.
Yeah. The answer to it is that it is form over substance. Okay, it's how you feel politics. It's your perception of politics. Donald Trump offends me. I don't like his tweets. Okay, I don't like his language. That's what they're voting on, okay? That is that demographic. And they don't want anything to change. They're swimming through this pandemic just fine. Maybe they're even doing better. Like so many people, There is this, every time there's a crisis, there are people that profit and advance themselves with it. It's very likely some of them are doing that too. So it's really this sad inversion of politics. It's not what you can accomplish, it's how good you feel about yourself. It's a form of narcissistic politics that doesn't move the needle one way or another. It certainly doesn't help people that have lost their jobs and can't pay their rent and can't pay their mortgage, can't pay their student loans, okay?
I mean,
people are all safe. It's all about how you feel about yourself. It's not about the condition of the country.
I mean, I remember, I have to say this, in 2016, there was a lot of talk about how Donald Trump was putting off suburban, liberal-minded white women voters. But when the actual votes came in 2016, it didn't really turn out that way. So I think we need to be careful before making those sorts of assumptions. I personally think, yes, there are some people, we know people like that who talk in that way and talk about Trump. I don't think they are representative of the vast mass of voters of any kind in America. I don't think that's how people vote.
But Alexander, if you look at how the Democrats, okay, blacks are going to vote for Trump, for Biden, okay? Yeah. I mean, they do everything by identity politics, and they've gotten all their blocks all lined up. And they're looking at that one demographic that could go either way, because that's what did happen in 2016. So what they're gambling that, they've got X number of electoral votes nailed down. They have this group, they have that group. I mean, like gay people, they're not going to vote for Trump. So the Democrats just take them for granted. Okay, they're going to vote for us anyway. Okay, blacks are going to vote for us anyway. Hispanics, that's a very interesting demographic that the Democrats are not doing as well this election cycle around. Okay, and they're beginning to focus on that. They have, what's that nutcase on CNN, Ana Navarro? I mean, she's a rabid reactionary, and she's going down to Florida right now to whip up Latino support for Biden, okay? So, I mean, this is all calculated out, and that's why I keep stressing this demographic, because that can throw a number of congressional districts, and that's all you have to do to win the presidency, okay? And this, I'm very proud to say, if you go back to Woodrow Wilson, it was Colonel House. He was the first guy that figured out you don't have to win states, you have to win congressional districts, and you focus in on those. And if you get them to flip the way you want, the state goes with it, okay? This is very well thought out. I'm not obsessed with suburban white women, please. I'm not. I don't even live in America anymore, okay? But I understand the political calculus that they're striving to nail down for this election.
From Kareem. Alex, please, what does the Duran think Ilhan beating pro-Israel AIPAC-backed candidate, Ilhan Omar, I guess, Minnesota, in the primaries? Any thoughts? Ilhan Omar beating pro-Israel AIPAC-backed candidate.
What does that say? I mean, it says a few things. I mean, it shows that IPAC is not as overwhelmingly dominant as some people think it is in the United States. And it also shows that there are other types of voters in certain particular constituencies in the United States who are powerful and effective. I don't think it has any relevance in this presidential election, which is coming now. I mean, I don't think you'll see either a candidate in this election really being influenced by any of that. I think that's a specific vote in a specific place during a congressional election. I don't think it has much bearing on presidential elections.
It's very interesting, because we know that the Biden campaign has, in a run-up to the convention, has taken out planks about Palestinians, okay, and about a just settlement between the Palestinians and the Israelis. They've just thrown that out, which, again, I keep stressing this, the civil war in the Democratic Party is boiling, because right now it's like, got to get rid of Trump no matter what. We'll settle our differences later. We just have to get the orange man out, okay? But if and when that happens, then you're going to have people that are, and progressives are very pro-Palestinian. That is a stress test that that new administration is going to have to start grappling with, because AIPAC knows they go with the Republicans now. They've pretty much written off the Democrats, okay? Particularly young Democrats and progressives. They don't even try anymore, really. What they do is they've shifted to the Republican Party. And if you look at a lot of young people on universities, we talk about wokeism. Well, I mean, the Israeli lobby has much less power in American universities than they did 20, 30 years ago. So that is something it'll fester in the Democratic left for years to come. But is just dealing with Trump, everyone's willing to have a ceasefire until they get rid of the guy, and then all hell is going to break loose. If, of course, Biden and Harris win.
All right, from William Jones, $5 super chat. If the DNC apparat had picked Tulsi, it would have been a real fight between Trump and Tulsi. Ideologically impossible, I know, but your thoughts?
Well, it would have been impossible, but I mean, I've always been somebody who likes to see proper dividing lines in politics between right and left. We don't have that kind of dividing line in this election. What we have is a man, Donald Trump, flawed, eccentric, clever, in my opinion, empathic, undoubtedly. I don't buy this idea that he's any kind of narcissist, by the way, and a machine. And that machine brings it together all kinds of different people. It brings people who call themselves or conceive of themselves as very left-wing, and it also has people who are completely cynical and whose compulsions are financial and nothing else. So that's the reality of politics in this election. I think if it had been a Sanders-Tulsi or Tulsi-Sanders versus Donald Trump thing, I think Trump would certainly have won that, but it would have been interesting.
Yeah, I just, just like with Bernie, Tulsi never had a chance, okay? No. They were never, ever, I mean, grudgingly, they let her on a debate stage at one point. But it's the donor class. The donors would have said, no way. This person, okay? Not Elizabeth Warren, not Bernie Sanders, not Tulsi Gabbard, okay? None of them. Oh, but Mayor Pete, we might. Okay? I mean, again, neoliberalism reigns now and forever, okay? Tulsi, she's a heartbreaker for me. I mean, when she threw her support behind Biden, that was a bad moment.
Yeah.
Kareem Hersey, UGX 5,000. Not sure what UGX is, but thank you very much, Kareem, for that. Super chat, Sparky, $10 super chat. Biggest disappointment with Democrat convention being virtual is not having the spectacle of Hillary flying into the convention on her broom with her entourage of flying monkeys to save the day. I agree with that. From Sparky.
I also have to say, it would have been very interesting to see Biden, what he's getting through his acceptance speech at that convention. I mean, that would have been.
I think it'll be pre-recorded.
Well, it will be now because that's the benefit of the virtual election.
And he still won't get through it. Pre-recorded with a teleprompter, with a voiceover, with a stand-in actor. Biden still won't be able to do it. That's how messed up the guy is.
I know. It's
period. Period. This is all one sick effing joke.
It is.
Biden is a sick joke from the elites and globalists. Kamala Harris picking her is a sick joke from the elites and globalists. This is all one sick joke. Yeah. This encapsulates this entire year is these two people. Complete fake frauds. They're just giving us the middle finger. That's it. They're giving us the middle finger. The thing frustrates the hell out of me. They're not serious. That's my point. Biden, Kamala, these are not serious people.
Yeah, but the grift is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not serious people. Anyway, from Sparky, $5 super chat. Weren't Kamala's staffers mostly former HRC staffers? Seems like Hillary is pulling the Kamala strings.
Well, I don't know enough about this, but as I said, I can't imagine that Hillary Clinton has just vanished off the scene. That doesn't seem to me like her at all.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't know much about that, but it's not surprising that, you would have staffers for Hillary Clinton trying to capture that particular candidate for their own as a surrogate. Okay. But I mean, if you get a better deal, the Obama deal, the Obama gig, and the Obama grift, you'll change sides in a heartbeat. Okay.
All right. From Sparky, what do you mean? Kamala doesn't give things away. Isn't she supposed to be a woman of easy virtue?
Oh, well,
Don't.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
I think that says enough. We've said enough.
Question stands on its own.
Yeah, exactly. Just Google it. Imre Kalman, 10-pound super chat. Everyone seems to assume the silent majority will not come out and vote Trump, seeing the delusions and destruction caused by the leftist, quote, protesters.
Well, I don't assume that at all. On the contrary, I rather expect, in fact, I very much expect that we will actually see the silent majority, to use that expression. I don't like that expression, by the way, but the majority of people who want, peace and order in their cities. And they also want a president in the White House who is genuinely interested in them. I can't imagine that they believe that Kamala Harris is interested in them. I think they will come out and vote. And that's why I think Trump will win.
Just to take a contrarian position here, there is another possibility, is that there's such a complete disillusionment with the political process that a lot of people are just going to simply stay home. And we can't discount that. We can't discount that.
From Sparky, $2 super chat. Obama and HRC team up against progressives.
Yes. Well, I don't think they team up. They both hate progressives, but I don't think they team up together.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they have a common enemy.
Yeah, they hate progressives, and of course they still call themselves the left, and they like some, emanations of the left, like what we see in Seattle and Portland and all of that, because you see, the Italians have this, a policy of tension, as it's called. They like a policy of tension in the run up to an election, the strategy of tension, because they feel that will undermine the president, who is, of course, Donald Trump. I think it's backfiring, and I think that is wrong. But that is what they do. And if you look at Kamala Harris, she is an establishment figure, a DNC apparatchik, but she's absolutely prepared to play left-wing politics when it suits her.
She's a loser.
Yeah, I completely agree.
She's a proven loser.
Yeah,
she's a proven loser. I don't understand how you. I'm a business guy. I don't understand how you pick.
But Alex, do you have an opinion about her?
Huh?
But do you have an opinion about her?
No, I mean, we'll move on to super chat. I just don't understand how you pick someone with a losing track record.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I mean, just
politics.
Do you hire someone with a losing track record? It just doesn't make any sense anyway.
Well,
we've talked about Christine Lagarde. We've talked about how all these people that screw up, they somehow seem to just get promoted up through the ranks.
Yes, because they're politically reliable. They're the sort of people you can rely upon to say what to follow the line, whatever that line is. So if the line one day is that what's going on in Portland is, fine and excellent, then Kamala Harris will say that. And if at the same time, either your policy, as it was under Bill Clinton, is that you take a very tough line on law and order, Kamala Harris will do that too. That's why they want her. They don't want we're not picking winners, because these are not business people. Kamala Harris has never worked in the private sector.
All right. From Blue Diamond Gem 199, rest in peace, R.I.P. Kamala, the Ugandan warrior. All right, thank you very much for that super chat, Blue Diamond Gem. From Sparky, I'll read three super chats. Good comments from Sparky here, really good. $2 super chat from Sparky. Kamala made up smoking reefer to act cool. The next super chat is Kamala lied about listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg. And the third super chat is Dems are counting on election fraud. It's rampant.
Well, I come back to what I said at the beginning of the program. This is a very bad move, appointing Kamala Harris in a democratic election. But that question of whether this election will be democratic has a question mark on it. And that's possibly the reason why we're seeing all this pressure for mail-in voting.
All right. From Peter Jackson, 5 BGN Super Chat. So the choice is between a stupid party and an evil party. Would taking donor money out of the equation solve the problem?
Well, I've always kind of, I'll be very facetious here. I mean, I've always looked at the Democrats as being ideologues, and I've always looked at the Republicans as being stupid. Okay, so I mean, what do you want to choose? Someone that's crazy or someone that's stupid? I mean, again, we enjoy doing this, and I love answering questions, and I love bantering with the two of you. But what are we arguing about? 98% of it is already bipartisan agreed to. Okay, so it's really, I don't want to overstress it. It's really about the grift. It's to keep it going.
Yes.
All right? I mean, this is all nice and fun, and Trump has entertained us, made us laugh, made us cry, outrageous, made us feel outraged. I mean, this has been a roller coaster. And then you throw in someone like Kamala Harris, and it's like, shouldn't this series come to an end? But no, we're introducing a new character to keep it rolling. It's exactly what it is. It's like Netflix.
Just on the live stream, when you mentioned Kamala Harris, Peter, someone just wrote cringe. Exactly. That sums it completely up. She's just cringe. Mary Antonia Young, $5 Super Chat. No one has seen a single Biden bumper sticker. Thank you very much for that.
Alex is in Moscow. Are you in Cyprus now or Athens?
I'm in Athens. I'm
in Moscow, so I haven't seen any bumper stickers either.
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I understand,
I understand the same. This is
from what I understand, there's not much. Obviously, there's not much enthusiasm for Biden or Kamala Harris now. There won't be much enthusiasm, but hey. E-Ray, Reichly, $5 Super Chat. It is not Kamala Harris. It should be Chameleon Harris, as she changes colors every other day.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what she does. She is extremely opportunistic, changes her position continuously, and is very passionate and vehement about it whenever she does. I mean, I find it a bizarre and very unattractive combination.
Right. Vanit has
a very cringe-worthy cosplay performance. Yeah.
Vanitas Barley, $4.99 Super Chat. Thank you very much for that. Mary Antonio Young, $5 Super Chat. Biden has 7.8 thousand Twitter followers. Trump has 89,000. That tells you everything. I think 7.8 million Twitter followers. Trump has 89 million.
Yeah.
That tells you everything. That's a lot of Twitter followers.
I get his tweets all day.
Yeah. Sparky, $2 Super Chat. Chris Wray got a subpoena from Congress.
Yeah, huge. I mean, there's all sorts of things going on there. I think this is a subject for another program, actually, because we're going to be seeing so much coming up, because there's all that battle playing out too. And I still think that has more importance than some people think it does. I think these legal moves and counter moves, baffling though they are not without their implications, because they affect the people at the center of this drama.
Well, the thing is that it really, if you step a few paces away from it at all, the whole issue will be who's politicizing the justice system. And both sides will make the claim that the other side is politicizing it. So I agree. Depending on if we get criminal indictments, I mean that certainly could move the needle one way or another. But with this, it's the economic situation that Congress is unwilling to address. Trump was very laggard in it, and then he came in at the last second with something that I think will be very ineffectual. I think there's a huge disillusionment among so many people. They're thinking about their jobs and putting food on the table, and they're not really worried about if Kamala Harris smokes pot. Okay, unfortunately, that's where we are.
Rando Commando, $5 Super Chat. Only 3 other presidents have had the amount of primary votes and turnout that Trump has now. They all won in landslides. Nixon and Eisenhower were 2 of them.
Yes, I know, I agree. And I think this isn't, I mean, I still expect, in spite of what Peter said, that Trump will win. And by the way, just one observation. I mean, he's done these executive orders and all this. Here, I'm not at all interested in the legalities of those executive orders or not. The fact is, there's still, 90 plus days of this campaign to run. So there's plenty of time.
Well, Going back to the legality of it all, I think it's certainly illegal, but I would really love to watch the Democrats take him to court for him trying to help millions of people.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a complete lost cause and nobody's going to do it. Not in this election cycle. No, it'd be a lost cause doing that.
I agree.
From Michelle Corley, $5 super chat. Thank you for that super chat. Michelle from Brando Commando, $5 super chat. Dems really screwed the progressives this year, not letting AOC speak at the convention and denying the Young Turks press credentials.
Yeah. And of course, we got to also remember what happened to Tulsi Gabbard through the primaries, how she was completely frozen out, and the way in which those awful things that were said about Bernie Sanders also, the way that he was brought down. So the DNC takes no prisoners, especially when it comes to controlling the Democratic Party.
All right, Voice Bootcamp Inc., Canadian 10, awesome work. I really enjoyed your video and discussion. Thank you very much for that super chat, Voice Bootcamp. Lens Work, $4.99, still no bar Duran prosecutions and not going to be any. Biden can still win, so let's not be foolish. No prosecutions, no justice.
Well, I would agree with that. If there are no prosecutions, there will be no justice. If Biden wins in November, that is exactly where we will be. I still think we will probably see indictments by the end of this month.
Hold that thought, Alexander. Hold that thought. Before you answer that, I'm going to give you another super chat, which is related to it and related to the previous super chat. Just hold that thought. Asavet MD, $20 super chat. Eric Zeus has an article. The indictments will be in September. You said October, which is most likely. Go ahead, Alexander.
Yeah, September. I mean, all right. So I expect that they will come, and I think they will have an effect, and they will create an influence. If nothing else, they will put the Democrats on the defensive. They will force the Democrats to start explaining things which they try to avoid doing up to now. Now they can do it by saying, this is all a distraction. They can do all sorts of things like that, but it will bring this thing back further into play.
It'll be played as a distraction. I just don't see it as something that, if we didn't have the pandemic and we didn't have the economic crisis, I agree that would be something very important. But in the hierarchy of importance, I don't think it's going to be very important.
September, October.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It depends a lot also what those indictments are. If they're on technical issues, if they are on Susan Rice writing a memo, then maybe I agree with that. But if it's on something much more fundamental, like illegal surveillance of Donald Trump, then it's a different ballgame, it seems to me.
We'll see.
All right. From Sparky, it's all about the military-industrial complex. Correct.
Well,
but there is unanimous across the board. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And from Asavet MD, what effect will the indictments have on the election?
Well, I think we've discussed this.
You guys answered that. And from, thank you for that super chat, Asavet MD, and the final super chat, Muramasa S, $14.99. Kamala considered herself Asian. Now all of a sudden she's black. In addition, she refused to release DNA evidence for an innocent man in prison to be released until a judge forced her to.
Well, I mean, exactly. I mean, you've got all of the reasons why, she's frankly someone not very liked and not very trusted, because she changes her position continuously. She is somebody who doesn't hold to a single line, but changes it, trims her sails to the prevailing wind, and has shown a willingness, a very great ruthlessness in the way that she conducts her politics.
All right, I think I got them all. Yeah.
Well done.
Cool.
Okay, we're done. There's one big guy that wants to walk.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this live stream. Have a great rest of the day or evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care, guys.
Yeah.